Hi guys, hope you're doing okay. Today I just wanted to discuss with you how we program. I'm going to use the whiteboard here to lay you out a very basic example of what a program might look like and what we're trying to achieve. There are certain criteria that we're looking to meet within a week's worth of training, and that's why it's very important to understand. This is why we ask how many times a week that you're going to commit to training, because it can very greatly affect what we're going to do within our program and each workout itself. Before I jump in and actually show you how we're going to set a program up, I just want to talk you through this pyramid. This is the muscle and strength pyramid designed by Dr. Eric Helms. Now, as it stands at the moment, it's still one of the best clear overviews of what an entire program should look like, and as such has become a go-to for a lot of coaches to base programming off. The very first layer, the bottom of the pyramid, is adherence. It doesn't matter what program you've got, it doesn't matter how good your program is, written by the best coach on the planet, if you don't do it, you're not going to see the results. Second part up, intensity, frequency and volume. These are one of the big factors that we take into consideration. Outside of adhering to your program, they're going to be the main driving forces behind particularly hypertrophy or muscle growth, and these are going to be the three things that we're going to take into great consideration when we come to actually write a program in a minute. Above that one, we've then got progression. You've all heard me speak a lot about progressive overload, and I will be discussing this with you in another video later time. Above that, we've then got exercise selection, which is going to be something that I'm going to talk you through shortly when I actually draw you out a basic program design. And your last two, making up the two top tiers of the pyramid of effectively least important, not to be disregarded, but of lower importance. We've then got rest periods, and we've then got tempo. Goes without saying, rest periods, the amount of time that you rest between both sets and exercises, and tempo is the speed at which we should lift. So now we've got the overview of a program and you can understand a little bit about why we do what we do, we can jump in and have a look at what a program might look like. Working off of the basis of 4 workouts, workout 2, workout 3 and workout 4. Firstly, we've got our bread and butter. We've got the basics which we must have in our program. Now that could look something like, okay, a squat, okay, which is a knee dominant movement, a hinge, which is hip dominant, squat, okay, and then a hinge. So we've covered bases, we've hit our frequency, as in we're going to be training these movements twice per week, and we then just follow this same suit all the way through to hit our other major muscle groups. So next we could do something like horizontal push, okay, vertical push, and then we just repeat that again. I'm just going to use some shorthand in there just to make it a little bit quicker. Okay, so same thing again, we then go through, so we've now got lower body movements at the beginning of the workout, we've then got chest and shoulder movements in this one, so then we go through and we do the same thing again, but for back, vertical pull, horizontal pull, vertical pull, horizontal pull. Now, this now gives us the basics, the fundamentals of our program. If nothing else, we've now met all of the major muscle groups within the minimum of 2 times a week frequency, which is recommended, split across 4 days. Once we've got those in place, we can start looking at filling out with our accessory movements or minor movements, and then chuck in some things in there that are in addition to maybe focal points that are more specific to you personally. We're now going to start looking into using things like leg extensions, leg curls, working more minor muscle groups, things like our medial delts, our abs and our arms. Okay, so we're going to then go for something like on here, could be a leg extension, and then in here we could put a leg flexion. Okay, we've got that in place. We can then do the same thing and do a lateral shoulder movement. and we could put that in here as well. Lateral shoulder. Okay, then we're really starting to tick boxes. So biceps, triceps. Okay, again, we want to do those twice per week, but not on consecutive days. So biceps, triceps, and then we've got a few things to fill out in here. Now I would put in core or abs twice per week, or abs, which means we've got 2 slots that we can play around with. Now, the only muscle groups so far that we've not worked are actually our calves. So whilst that is another muscle group, personally, I don't think it's much use to put it in for a general populations program. So I would use these now to focus on things that are more specific to the clients. If somebody has got a knee issue, we could potentially put in another knee flexion or knee extension movement in here. We could work on shoulder stability or any type of mobility work that needs to go in here. But for argument's sake on this one, we could put something in like glutes. Most people are going to benefit from stronger glutes. And then in here, we could then either put in a second set of glutes, or we could put in, whilst it's still a different movement, some kind of lunge movement. Okay, so you can see now that what we've got is we've got 6 exercises per workout, which is a very reasonable amount, particularly for beginners to early phase lifters. 4 days per week. We've managed to tick boxes on every single muscle group. We're working with a minimum frequency of twice per week, and we can split the volume over 4 sessions. So now I'm going to have a little look into this for you further, and I'm going to show you some example exercises that we might use for this same workout split that we've got here. What we're going to do now is go through and give you some more specific exercises that are going to tick the boxes that we've just discussed in our program design. So just following through the same order, so we're going to start off here with a squat, and this could be something like a back squat. Okay, we've then got barbell RDLs or Romanian deadlifts. We could then use the leg press, and we could then do dumbbell RDLs. And that's ticked our first box for exercises. We're then going to move into chest, and we could go in here with dumbbell, flat press, into a military overhead military press. Military press is your barbell standing overhead. We could then use in here a chest press machine. Just cautious that this doesn't become all machine exercises. And we could then come in here a seated dumbbell press. Okay, so we've got back, and then we've got we've got legs, and then we've got shoulders and chest. Then into back, we would have in here now a lat pull down. We could have a single arm row. We'd use lat pull down again. The reason why we've used lat pull down twice in this scenario is because there's very few exercises we can actually do for a vertical pull outside of some kind of chin up or pull up variation and some kind of lat pull down. We're very, very limited. So for most people, until we can do multiple sets of chin ups or pull ups, we're going to be using the lat pull down variation twice per week. Now this could be a standard grip pull down, and then you could use something like a close grip pull down or even a reverse grip pull down for this second version. But for argument's sake and for examples now, we're just going to keep this the same. And then in here, we could then do seated cable row. Okay, so as again, we've now got our bread and butter. That's done. We've now ticked all those boxes for those major ones. There's various different exercises that can use this, and they're all good and equal in their own way, but we can't do them all at once. So this is just an example program of what it might look like. We can now move into our second part of our exercise. These would be what are called our primary lifts. So we're going to move it more into our secondary and accessory lifts down the bottom. And again, we're just going to work our way through the same program that we looked at earlier. So we could start here and we could use the leg extension machine. And then in here, we could use the hamstring curl. Okay, so that's our knee extension and our knee flexion. We're going to do a lateral movement, so we could do a dumbbell lateral raise. And here we could do the same thing again. Lateral raise. We would then have in here cable tricep pushdowns. Cable tricep pushdowns with dumbbell bicep curls. And then to tick our boxes with arms again, we could do this could be with a bar. And then this one here could be with a rope, so we could do tricep pushdowns. Okay, with a rope. And then here we could do cable bicep curls. Okay, in here, for the glutes, we could have a hip thrust. For the lunges, we could have reverse lunge. And then the last two, core and abs, so we could do a plank for our core version. And then here we could do something like a supported knee raise. Which is going to tick the box for both a core exercise and a specific ab exercise. So there we go, a very basic overview of how you can set up a program. You've now managed to see how and why we put certain exercises in. The exercise selection itself isn't the most vital component of what we do, but instead we're trying to hit things like frequency, intensity, and then the volume. Now, once we've got this could be an exercise program that we work through for, say, 4 to 6 weeks. Then we could mix up some of the exercises, we could change some of the repetition ranges, and we could then move into a second different block. So hopefully that's helped you guys out. I know that it's something that's a very big source of confusion for a lot of people. Program design can and is much more complex than what I've shown you here today. But for most people, for a general population, training 4 days a week, just want to tick boxes, something like I've shown you here today is going to be absolutely perfect. As always, if you have any questions, drop me a message and I'll get back to you.